Hi, this is Marisha Trambetska for this week's podcast for my Love Your Creativity and Make Money. And this week it is all about rewarding your curiosity and how it can really open your mind, uplift your heart, make you kind of happier about a creative, and it's a little bit of a positive obsession, I think, is never a bad thing. So my idea really is about maybe you could take a course in something you're interested, or maybe you can kind of fall very deeply into something so that you can learn all you can. Now, it could be that you're fascinated about a certain type of literature, a certain type of art. You could be fascinated by a certain kind of music. There's lots and lots of ways. But the more you kind of narrow in on a certain thing, the more actually it gets quite exciting and can really open some interesting doors in terms of what you're creating, the media you're creating and everything. So it's not a case of pick something that's kind of, you're a jazz musician, so you go and study Miles Davis or Charlie Parker. Not to say you shouldn't, I think you probably have, right? But then also maybe go and look at things far, far outside that field, maybe not even in the music field at all. Because the thing about being a genius, I definitely wouldn't call myself one, but being a genius, there's lots of ways you decide about being a genius. And this is one of the ways that they really are called that. And so I'm encouraging you to think about this for yourself, is that a genius makes very unusual ways of making connections. So what they certainly do is they'll learn about certain subjects in depth, whether it's Einstein and E=mc². He certainly didn't discover energy, etc. But what he did is he knew a lot about all those parts, E and M and C, and was able to put them together in a very fantastic way. There's a very kind of story, there's a story about the guy who invented or finally perceived DNA, was because he spent all days and nights working on this, and then one day he was driving home and suddenly through the sunlight in the trees was a snake shape, and he understood that was how DNA was. But of course he knew a lot about it before. So the idea is that the more you can look or know about something from lots of different kinds of perspectives, and then you can make your own choice, the more interesting or groundbreaking or well-rounded the work is. And open-minded creatives, whether you're in science or art, and that's the global version of art, music, etc., there's often some really interesting, fresh perspectives you can find or create by knowing the existing perspectives and rules and then drilling them into you and then letting them go. So I never forget, years ago, I was studying to become a jazz bass player and a jazz singer. And oh my goodness, we spent so long, over 4 years, learning various different pieces of different ways of scales, music scales, and how you got into them from other chords. And the idea is you practice them, and then when anyone would do like a solo or a scat, they could come much more creatively at it because they had these links of notes already embedded in the system. Now, I got so far, there's obviously people who are way more genius than I'll ever be on that. But it does mean that if you know 17 ways of doing a 2-5-1 or even, say, a simple blues scale, you've got lots of different understandings of what other notes are and where they sit with others. When you're being creative, you won't always hit the obvious notes. Other types of musicians might choose to, have 5 years about being fascinated by certain types of music, or they might go, I'm completely in love with the way this rhythm is, and they go and explore this rhythm and other rhythms like it, whether they're a drummer or a guitarist, whatever. And then inevitably that kind of study, it floods through your work in one way or another. So this week I am kind of promoting curiosity. And actually the truth is, discovering answers can be a really great way of feeling happier, because we all like learning and exploring and also unravelling mysteries. However, there's too much uncertainty, this is in life and in curiosity, we can feel a bit less happy. So you don't want to going steady and small. It might be you're fascinated by a certain individual, sports individual, artist, musician, whatever. Go and watch their work. Go and really indulge yourself in the kind of stuff they make, even though it makes no sense to anyone and you're not planning to do anything about it. You maybe not be trying to make a show or anything, but it's just about exploring what you're curious about. It's very satisfying for us as creatives. It allows us to breathe and dream a little bit, right? And inevitably what you've learned comes through in your own work. Or, again, if it's a skill level thing, maybe I really am interested in being a better green screen editor or a better sound mixer or whatever it is, then that can really help your career. So that's what this week's all about, really, about I wonder if I quite fancy learning about or answer those questions and indulge in, as long as it's obviously everyone's consenting, but I really encourage you to think, that's just really interesting, and go and find more about it. Not as a distraction, but as a way to kind of build up who you are and what you might end up making. Because it is fascinating, and so many creatives I know move from one art form to another. It's actually pretty common, actually. I went recently to see Sir Billy Connolly, the fabulous Scottish comedian. He, while he was on tour in Canada, he started drawing lots. And then, of course, now he's also a painter. But then I saw these fantastic little sculptures made because he'd done all these drawings and they sold out really quick. So then he took them to a steel sculptors, because steel is, he worked at a factory, a steel factory for his first job. And he got all these steel artists to basically replicate his drawings. And there was one called Walkies I fell in love with. So us creatives love to dip around creative art forms. So whatever you're curious about right now, I suggest you reward your curiosity by web detail, by watching every film someone's ever made or been in, or every song someone's ever written. Just go and explore and see what you like and you don't like, or maybe go back and go, how are they technically doing that? Get into the skill of it. So there we are. That's this week. So my Get Your Art in Gear program is going to definitely be available very soon. It's a specialist program that blends practical, financial and creative lessons that you need to take your work to the next level. I'm at Marisha T, Marysiat, on Twitter and on Instagram, Facebook. I'm Marisha Trembetska. So there'll be another podcast last week, but we've got that's a raw we. There's lots and lots of podcasts already in my Love Your Creativity and Make Money. So do subscribe if you are feeling it, or go back and have a look at some of the previous podcasts. So have a great week, and be really well. And whatever you go and indulge in some creativity and some curiosity. That's my recipe for lightness and happiness. Okay, bye.